Hey, everybody, welcome to today's episode of the What Worked For You show. Today, we are talking commercial real estate, but with a little bit of a twist. Our guest today is super experienced, over 37 years in the business, but also he helps commercial clients with this concept of zero out of pocket ownership in their offices. What does that mean, right? Like on the residential side where I play, you hear about 100% financing. Is this the same? Is it like, what does that really mean? Well, we're going to dive into that. He does specialize with medical practices, doctors, and so forth in the commercial space, but he has spent time in other parts of commercial as well. Again, 37 plus years, he's seen a few things. He's also an author of multiple books, with the latest called A Life Worth Living, something that we absolutely have to talk about. So without further ado, Bob Lazenby, how are you today?
I am fine, Frank. Very good.
Wonderful. Well, let's dive in. Thank you for being here. And I do want to start with the book because the title is outlines something everybody wants: a life worth living. Let's dive into that. What's this about? Tell us more.
Well, a life worth living is basically it's based around four pillars: having the time to pursue your dreams, having the wealth to turn the dreams into reality, leading to freedom to be able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and showing you how to maintain health so that you can enjoy the journey along the way. Connecting all of those together through a passion, a niche, a vision, um, trailing and encompassing areas like mindset, belief, and so forth. Basically, it's a 7-step formula that I've come up with that has worked for me, and I feel that it inspires and works for others to that desire and have dreams and really want to live their best life.
Mm. Why do you think, like, well, let me back up. What inspired you to write this?
Well, a couple of things. One is the number of years of experience and what I've gone through. The other is I don't know if you know Bill Welch or not, but Bill Welch owns Power Team International, and I joined his Rainmaker program a couple of years ago. And in a meeting in Orlando, I met Angel Tussey, who is a publisher, and we hit it off. And we she has published several books for people within that particular group. And in conversations, we decided that I should write a book. So
Mm.
I I basically sat back, and then one day I was walking up the street with my wife, and I were walking our dog, and one of the neighbors jokingly said, "Hey Bob, I want to be you when I grow up." And I jokingly said back to him, "You know what? That's interesting, but you can spend 60 years working your you know what off harder than you've ever worked in your entire life, or you can pay me 60,000 up front and I'll mentor you for a year, and then you pay me 10% of everything you've earned for the next five." And he jokingly came back and said, "You know what? If I was younger, I might do that." And I said, "I'll give you a third option. I'll write a book. You buy a copy. I'll sell 1 million, and we both win." And he said, "I'll buy the book." And that sort of was a little bit, I came back and I sat down and I thought, you know, there might be something to this. Let me think about it. And then from there, meeting Angel and then going through what we went through and putting it all together. And I'm very pleased with the outcome. And so far, the results, everyone that's read it has loved it and found some very inspiration out of it.
Mm. I love it. So then let me ask you, because you've been
Mhm.
around for a long time, you've seen a lot.
Mhm.
And real estate is a business that can be kind of cutthroat, and not everyone's not exactly always the most forthright,
Mhm.
and that can create a lot of challenges. Um, what do you think, in particular, from what you've seen in business, but even beyond? What would you say is the number one thing you see it keeps people from this life worth living?
I think keeps people from it. I would say it would be basically a lack of inspiration as far as moving forward with their dreams, their desires, and actually setting a vision for what they really want and what they're really willing to do. I mean, let's face it, when we all start out, we all have dreams and desires as kids of what we want to do and what we want to be. And then all of a sudden we get to a certain point and life hits us. And a lot of us, through some kind of either tragedy or some kind of things or obstacles that get in the way, things we do, like maybe getting married early or something like that, that says, okay, now we have to go earn a living. We have to make money to survive. And so you sort of get off track. And what happens is you lose sight of what your dreams were. You lose sight of a vision, and you have a lot of desires. But I say to people, do you still have huge dreams? Do you still have desires and visions that you haven't accomplished? Do you see that sometimes you sit back and do you actually believe that there's more out there waiting for you? A bigger, even more meaningful life, but it's just beyond your reach. And I find just about everyone, if I'm in a meeting and I'm talking, will say, yeah, yeah, I had those dreams. I still have them. But for some reason, I haven't found the way to accomplish them, or I've lost a desire, or I don't think it's for me anymore. And I think they just give up.
Hmm.
They accept mediocrity.
I know this is you're hitting a nerve here. This is good because a lot of people will get involved in business and they will give up. They'll get tired of it. They stop growing. It stops being fulfilling. They find something else that, quite frankly, is more fun. It's more fresh. It's more enjoyable. But it's like that passion for what they were doing gets extinguished. And you sit there and you think, is it because it's run its course? Or is it because, right, we've let the challenges, the perils, the dramatic, sometimes traumatic experiences quell the fire by choice? You know, you've been doing this for over 37 years, so you've clearly experienced these roller coasters. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, actually, I think I've sort of seen it in a different light. I've sort of seen it where people start off and they have big dreams and they have desires, but before they can actually get to a vision, they and realize that the most important thing in their life is their passion. You know, their niche or their knowing, and they sort of get off track because they get into a situation where I've got to earn money to support my family, and then one thing leads to another. Now I can't afford to do what I want to do because I've got to stay in this. I'm in this racket, and I'm in this. Excuse me. I'm in this bracket, income bracket, and I can't get out of it. If I start over again, I either don't have the funds, I haven't planned, I haven't saved, I haven't done what I really want to do. So I'm find myself caught up in this. I'm accepting doing things that I really don't want to do, and I can't do what I really want to do. So, so what I basically have said to them is, you know, if you stop and think about, there is something out there for you. It is based around your passion. It is based around a niche that if money were no object and if there were no alterations that were standing in your way and you could do anything you wanted to do, what would you do? And people will say, well, I mean, I'd play golf every day, or I would travel, or I would do this, or I would do that. And it's like, well, why aren't you doing it? And it's because it passed me by. I never got the opportunity because I got caught up in this thing and I'm not able to do it now. Well, I can show you how you can do it. I can show you how within one year, if you go through my life mastery boot camp that I have, an 8 week where I'll mentor you personally for 8 weeks and put you through what I call my life mastery boot camp. If you do everything that I tell you to do, you read my book, it's in my book. But if you want a mentor to mentor you through it, I can show you how within a year, I can show you how you could be earning enough money, passive income wise, to take care of your monthly bills. Well, now, if all of a sudden you had enough passive income by working through a formula that I work you through and work with you and mentor you through it, if you could have, you're working 40 hours a week right now to earn that living to pay those bills. If I can show you passively how you can get that income to pay those bills, what does that do for you? Well, number one, it gives you 40 extra hours a week, 160 hours a month. If you now have a 5 year vision of where do you see yourself in 5 years and why is it important to you? And if we can pin that down, now all of a sudden we've got you in a position where you can spend the time because you have the bills covered to complete your passion. And suppose your passion was, I want my annual income to become my monthly income. Well, if that happened, wouldn't that give you the time to pursue your dreams? Wouldn't that give you the wealth to turn your dreams into reality and the freedom to do it what you wanted, when you wanted, how? And let's work on health because you can have everything in the world, but if you don't have health, you don't enjoy the journey. So it's a combination of putting it all together, working through the boot camp, mentoring, turning people's frame of mind around to where they have a mindset and a belief that they really can do it, and show them step by step of how it can happen.
Mm, mm.
Might be a long answer, but that's sort of the way I see it.
Well, you ended with a word that we want to talk about with you, and that's the word belief.
Mm-hmm.
And belief drives everything. And oftentimes, the hardest part is just believing, right? Because there's programs, there's this, there's so
Yeah.
much how to in the world.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
belief is like, in a way, it's like the simplest thing in the world because it's, do you believe you can do X or do you believe in yourself? Yes or no? But then to answer yes, anyone can say yes at an intellectual level,
Mm-hmm.
but believing it internally at the core of their soul, that's an entirely different matter. What have you found works for getting people to simply believe?
Well, the first thing in my mentoring program that is everyone, the first thing you have to do is you have to read Think and Grow Rich. Uh, that's gonna, and we're gonna, in the first 2 weeks of the program, we're gonna go through that step by step, principle by principle, And there are 13 principles, and we're going to go through that each one. But it really starts with a burning desire. You know, you have to. It all starts with a decision. You have to really make a decision. Do I really want to go after that dream, that passion that is really, I'm seeing just beyond my reach? Am I willing to commit 6 months, let's say? Am I willing to commit 6 months uh, to working harder than I've ever worked, to finding out what that burning desire really is? Do I have to gaining the faith that I can actually do it, which turns into a mindset that says you have to, yeah, you have to have a mindset that says I can do all things. Like mine is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Mhm.
And you have to have a mindset that says I can do it, which helps you set standards that says these are the standards I won't go below, but these are the standards that have no ceiling as to how high I can go.
Mm.
Through all of that comes a belief. You build a belief. It's easy to say I believe, but are you really do you really have the ability to actually accomplish what you say you believe? Um,
Mhm.
and I'm telling you, it's a process of working through uh, passion, niche, uh, and mindset, and desire and belief, tying it all together, and then dedicating yourself to really using SMART goals and accomplishing these milestones that get you from point A to point B. And then, where you're going to be at the end of year one, where we're going to be at the end of year three, where we're going to be at the end of year five. And, and you can do it. You just got to want it. I mean, if you read Think and Grow Rich, and if you focus just on his 12th principle, which is the brain, it will take away any excuse that you ever have in your life as to why you can't do it.
Mm. Love it. You talked about burning, and right, like, and I've read Think and Grow Rich, great book, and this idea of burning desire. And I was like, oh, we're supposed to talk about real estate, but hold on, because this is so critical.
Because it also, you have to have that same burning desire, whether you're doing real estate, whether you're teaching somebody how to get out of a sand trap, or whether you're opening a restaurant, or whatever you do, the process is the same. And because if in other words, real estate is a vehicle.
Exactly.
Uh, Opening a restaurant is a vehicle. Doing whatever you decide to do in life is a vehicle, but you're really doing it for a purpose of I want to do something that I really enjoy, that I love, because if I'm doing something I love, it's not work. But if I'm working, I'm not enjoying, and it has an effect on health, effect on everything. So whether it's real estate or whether it's a life worth living, each time I can tie it all down to, you can take everything we just talked about and say, bottom line, what are we actually talking about? And we can actually tie it down to a good night's sleep.
You know, I got to listen to one of my coaches interview Phil Jackson, coach of the Chicago Bulls, Lakers, 11 championships, as you know.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
he asked him that question: how do you define success? And that is, Phil Jackson actually said those words. He's like, a good night's sleep.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so then it leads to the next question: How many good night sleeps are you having lately?
Then it answers to the question as to why are you not?
Right.
Why are you not? Because I mean, it's like I talked to a friend of mine one time, and he had gone to work for Mattress Giant. Okay, and I said to him, I said, this was a while back, and I said, what do you find over there? What kind of products are you guys selling that is different from what any other mattress place is selling? And 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 uh, and he said, I'm not selling a product. I'm selling a good night's sleep. And I
Mm,
thought, wow, you know, that's what you're really doing. And I mean, because and then my wife and I go to the state fair here in Dallas every year, and they have all these all these different uh, uh, places where all the manufacturers come in and they show their goods, and you walk through, and it's from auto manufacturers all the way through bedding and everything you can think of. We
mhm,
walked through there, and I happened to Mattress Giant had a thing, and they had all this stuff. And I went over to them and I said, "Let me ask you, you guys got a lot of product out here today. What are you doing?" And they said, "Well, come over here. Let me show you the new product. Let me show you what we're doing." And they started saying, "Lay here and feel this and do this and do that." And then, this and that. And I said, "Well, but this is not this. Well, let me show you this product. Let me show you that product." And then I finally said to him, I said, "You know what? I came in here and all you want to do was show me products. I'm not looking for products. I'm looking for a good night's sleep. How are you
mhm,
going to sell me a good night's sleep? All
mm,
you want to do is focus on product and that leads me to believe all you're focusing on is selling something."
mm,
But you remember Zig Ziglar? You can
mhm,
have anything in life that you want if you help enough others get what they want. If you have that mindset and you truly want to help others get a good night's sleep, bottom line, you'd be amazed because we don't do things for money. Money actually is a result of doing something really good to help somebody. If I help a doctor build his dream office in the location he wants to be, and I get him involved to where he can be a part of selecting the location, he can be a part of selecting the architect, he can be a part of selecting and choosing the design, and he is a part of every step as we work through the whole process. If I can help him do that, I've helped him accomplish the dream he's looking for. I've helped him get a good night's sleep.
mhm.
And he'll go out and recommend 10 other guys to say, if you want to really do it right, here's somebody I recommend you ought to talk to. And that's worth more than anything in the world.
Mm. You know, as you were sharing, I was like, because I'm in real estate as well. It's like, how do you sell a good night's sleep? And it's a different perspective, right? You know, especially if you're buy, fix, and sell, because when you think about buy, fix, and sell, flipping property, too often, and I'm not saying it's bad, but it's usually thought of as a profit generator, and you'll have a
Mm-hmm.
jet, plane,
Mm-hmm.
like all these things, and then you get into it, and most people quit because you're like, oh yeah, the only jet you're buying is a Matchbox jet, right? So,
Exactly.
so, so very few people actually pull off the commercial, but it does give you it, but it also allows you to rethink this idea: what is success?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you think of success as a good night's sleep, and then reverse engineer that into what is your burning desire, what is your passion,
Yeah.
now that formula looks a little bit different. Because one thing I will tell you, and I've actually had that struggle, and I think we all have at some point, is the idea of what is my burning passion?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's easy to like a lot of things. I like
Mm-hmm.
doing this, I like doing this, I like doing this. And we all like a number of things, some a few, some a lot. but but a desire, that's a little bit different word, but a burning desire, now we're really trying to narrow this down, and that can be elusive.
It's like, when you're talking with someone and you say, here's the deal. If money were no object and if you had nothing standing in your way, what would you love to do? And some people say, well, you know, I love playing golf. Just as an example, I love playing
Sure.
golf. And I say, okay, well, fine. What about golf that makes you unique and different? I mean, what do you do different than a lot of people? Or what could you teach me in golf that would make golf more enjoyable for me? And he'll say, and maybe he'll say, well, I'm an expert at getting out of traps. I mean, I can show you how to get out of traps. Just every time, every shot, I can show you how to get out of traps. So now I say, okay, fine. Now you've got a passion. You love to play golf, but now you've got a niche where you can help everybody get out of golf, get out of traps. Do you know how many golfers would love to give you $10 or $20 or $100 to find out what you know and what you can teach them about getting out of a trap?
Mm,
And so it goes sort of like that. And it's like you find something you love and you find something that's within that love, that passion, a certain niche that you're particularly good at. And then all of a sudden you'll find out that there's a million people that want to know
mm,
what you can teach them. If you really have in mind, you want to help other people get what they want. So you find your niche, you find people that want what you have, and then you help them get it. As you help others get whatever they want, then all of a sudden you don't have to worry about business or money or anything because that's a result. It happens automatically. If you're going for money, if you're going for money, then you're never going to be satisfied. And most of the time, you're never going to be successful. You mentioned you're involved in residential and you do flipping of houses. Let's say I got a friend of mine that's for years has done that. I mean, he's done that for 30 years or longer. Okay.
yeah.
And he's very good at it, very good. And he's very successful. But I got involved, my wife and I back in 22, we both decided, we what are the things that we do? We create a lot of wealth for other people. Why don't we think about creating more wealth for us? And so what could we do? Well, we started looking at different things, like interest interest was not being paid by banks. 401ks weren't doing anything. Nothing else was doing anything. So we started looking at, well, we can continue to invest in building medical office buildings, but right now we're facing a little headwinds, 22, with all that. So let's look at some other opportunities. So we looked at multifamily apartments. And we went up. First thing we did, we said, let's find a mentor. Let's don't try to go out there and do it on our own because the chances are very good that we'll mess it up. So let's find a mentor. So I spent about 6 months looking and searching and dealing with, and finally found the mentor that we were comfortable with, that provided what I think we were looking for. And as a result of joining that particular group, we had 1,300 members that were a part of it that came to meetings monthly and Zoom meetings twice a month. And we got to national meetings twice a year. And we got to meet a number of people. And why did I pick multifamily? because of my background, which you'll read in my book that at from zero to I mean from born to 8 years old, I had it made. Grandfather, money, everything you wanted. He died instantly of a heart attack, changed our lives. Instead of living in this nice home, owning restaurants, and having rental properties and money flowing, I ended up with a mother and a grandmother that were had to find something, some way to take care of a grandchild. We ended up in an apartment, in a very modest apartment. And I grew up in that until I got married early at 18. But what I'm saying, when I invest in multifamily apartments,
Mhm.
I'm not doing it for the money. Of course, the return, we're all looking for return,
Sure.
but I remember me being there. Wouldn't it be nice if we could actually improve? We can capex that thing and we can improve that thing to where that family really enjoys living in that apartment. We're going to upgrade the appliances. We're going to upgrade the landscape. We're going to upgrade all of the amenities. We're going to do all these things. And a lot of these people at this point in time can't afford to buy a house. So if we can take what they have to deal with and make it something where we are really trying to help them live a life that's better than what they expected by what we can do for them, then we've accomplished something there. So that's why we made the decision to go to multifamily because I've been there, I've done that. I know what I love. I love walking through and somebody saying, "Man, I love the improvements. God, I love those new appliances. I love all this new stuff." I really feel like I'm living as close to a home as I can without being there. And that's a good feeling. So you've helped somebody, and that's what you look for. You know, now we own what we call, you'll understand it. We're invested in 2,800 doors, and throughout Texas, San Antonio, Houston, uh, Dallas, Allen, Fort Worth, but we're doing it because we really want to help people.
So let me ask you something, because you mentioned 2,800 doors. I literally saw, right, everyone pitches things on real estate as well. My way, I'm not say everyone, but a lot of people. They'll get on social media and they'll pitch their thing as, have you tried X and X and it's not working? Let's, I've got a better way. Right, and you'll hear these different pitches, but when you think about it, if you stop and think about it, people have flipped houses for decades. People have owned multifamily doors for decades.
Mhm.
And then you have, people have owned single family rental farms for decades. Okay, multi-state, single state, whatever. You
Rent
have
to own today.
Exactly. People have done creative finance for
Hmm.
decades. You have these cornerstone techniques that have been around for decades. And then you have people get online today and they're promoting the new thing, right? When in reality, as you know, and you quoted the Bible earlier, if we can go back to Solomon, nothing is new
Right.
under the sun.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
real estate is no different. So my question to you is, when you're it's like you might be flipping, maybe you're trying to get a multifamily, single, whatever it is. It's taking too long, it's too slow, it's not working, or not working the way you want. You're losing that burning desire. The passion is because it's a fight and this, that, and the other. And then someone gets online, they're like, oh, you try this, it doesn't work. Let me show you this new secret as if it's some new thing. How do you help people push through those shiny objects that come when the people are at their most vulnerable?
Well, I think you hit on the term right there that's important. don't get caught up in shiny objects, because if it's not your passion, if it's not your niche, and you're just caught up in shiny objects, well, you can find shiny objects every hour.
Hmm.
Uh, they're all over the internet, they're all over YouTube, they're all over everything you can think of. But if you're going to go after shiny objects, then chances are you're going to live a miserable life because you're constantly going to be starting from scratch, and you don't even get to the point to where you understand what you're doing before you're trying to start something else. I mean, the grass is always greener, right? Uh,
Always.
it's
Always.
not. It's
No.
not. You can take anything you want. I don't care what it is. I mean, whether it's a pen or a pencil, it's any kind of little object or anything that you have. If you stick with it long enough and you become passionate about it, and you can become successful at it. And if you're not successful, then you have to understand why. Why am I not? It's not it's not another shiny object. It is, why am I not? Remember the story that uh, that I think it's Martin Luther King talked about. He only goes to in Alabama. He only went to one guy that that to get his shoes shined. Do you remember hearing that story? He only goes to
I
one
did not.
guy. He only goes to one guy to get his shoes shined because that guy takes so much pride in
Mm,
what he does and how he does it that he is just the best that there is of anybody that he's ever had shiny shoes, and he enjoys that guy loves every second of what he does, and he is the best at it. So he says, if you're going to shine shoes, shine them as though uh, you're doing art,
mm,
and you're doing the greatest piece of art that's ever been done. If you're gonna shine shoes, shine it as though you're writing a play that is going to be the best play that anyone has ever written.
mhm.
Let it be known today, and put a stake in the ground right here, that if you want your shoe shine, I am the best that there is in the entire world. It's right here. Be the best at it. So it doesn't make any difference what you do. Just make up your mind you're going to be the best at it. You're going to give it your best shot. Everything you do, give it your best shot.
So let's tie that back to what you do of commercial real estate. Because effectively, it's, using the shoe shine example, it's someone that takes such immense, deep pride in their work, right? That they're just, and it's truly what it ultimately is it's a servant's heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's they love it so much they want to serve people doing this. How have you been able to take that concept and apply it in your business in commercial real estate? Because all the advertisements commercial for real estate aren't usually talking about service. In fact, a lot of times they're getting all upset because they're like, we need better management, we need better operators, we need better syndicators. Like you hear all these things, but you rarely hear about the service side and doing that with
Mm-hmm.
tremendous pride to help others. How have you been able to make that happen in commercial for you?
Well, I find you have two choices. You can be a transactional broker, or you can be a transformative broker. If you want to be a transactional broker, then you're going to be your desires to do more deals than anybody else and do them as fast as you can, earn as much money as you can, but you're not building any relationships. You're just going from one transaction to another. And it's like having a tiger by the tail and you swing it, because if you ever let it go, it's going to come back and eat you up. And that's what happens with most transactional people. They go as hard as they can for as long as they can. They can't even take a break because if they do, somebody else is behind them. The next transactional guy's behind them. You take the guy that's a transformational guy, and he's out there trying to do what Zig Ziglar talks about, helping enough people get what they want. And and you can have anything in life you want. You don't have to worry about it. So it's basically, if you're a transactional broker, you're in it for the short term and you're eventually going to lose and you're going to be attracted to other shiny objects. If you're a transformational broker, because we're talking real estate now, you're going to be in it to build relationships. You're going to be in it to help other people accomplish their dreams. And you're going to be in it to help them meet their goals and their objectives. As a result, you're going to build good relationships. A lot of the people that I work with not only become clients, but we become friends. We play golf together. We go out and eat, have dinner with families together. We introduce each other to other things. And some of these things I end up managing the project for. So after I've helped them develop it and helped them get it leased up, then I manage it. So I want it to be the best looking project out there. I want to make sure that every tenant that they have, and I'm talking not big things, maybe we're talking about, 10, 12, 15,000 foot properties, okay? But maybe you have like a doctor, a dentist, and an orthodontist, in there. Well, one of them is going to end up owning the building. And the one that owns the building, I want to make sure I get the other spaces leased because that's income producing for him. I want to make sure that that building looks better than any other property nearby. So we're taking care of the landscaping, we're taking care of the planning, we're taking care of any of the maintenance that needs to be done. We're making sure we do everything on time from that the city requires. And I'm there. I take care of everything. All he has to do is practice. I take care of all the business for him. And as a result, I've gotten comments back like, "Thank you, thank you," uh, and I've gotten comments back like, you know, they don't see everything you do for them. The owner is saying the tenant may not see everything you're doing for them, but I do, and I know what you're doing to make sure they're comfortable. And then I've heard him say like, "You're a good man." Well,
Mhm.
that's worth its weight in gold. uh, because then he's referred several other doctors that said, if you want to do something, here's who you need to talk to. And it's because I look out for him. I build a relationship, transformational. It's not transactional. Long answer again. I'm sorry.
No, no, you're good. You're good.
Hmm.
Now, that's a good word. That's a good word. It's so easy to get caught up in the transactional side because it's important. But what I have found, and it doesn't matter who it is, it could be the buyer, it could be the seller, it could be the lender, it could be the realtor, it could be, the closing agent, right? It does, everyone does. It's so easy to forget the relational side of the business in the
Hmm.
name of the transaction.
Hmm.
And what's even crazier is it's easy to see, and it shouldn't be easy. You would think it would be hard, but as a friend of mine, I know a friend, and he's a real estate wholesaler. He calls me every few months, and he always says this. He's like, we'll just start chatting, and somewhere there's always a moment where he goes, "Money just makes people do funny things," and but it's true, and it's because the money is at the end of the day, no matter how important it is, and it is important, we're not
Yeah, we're
disqualify.
not downplaying that you
We're
got
not
to live.
downplaying it. But at the end
Yeah,
of the day, the money is always part of the transactional side. It's not part of necessarily the relational side. Because the relationship can, somebody said to me once, if you have a money problem, you're in a good place. And I said, why is that? He's like, because that's the easiest problem to solve. But when you have people problems and relational problems, those are the hard ones.
yeah, because you have reputation.
Yeah.
You know,
So, so you've been at this for 37 years. So kind of picking up on that, how did what was your approach building relationships in the early days versus today after 37 years?
well, when I first got in the business, okay, I mean, I had come out of corporate America, and so I had had experiences in corporate America that I would say most. I would actually say most of corporate America is transactional. I mean, there's not a whole lot of building relationships like people might think in corporate America. It's more transactional. And this is what turned me off. Okay. You get a you have a guy, let's say a company, they fire their president, they bring in a new president. The first thing that new president does, he gets rid of all the people that the old guy had, and he brings in his people. So over the first year, he's basically bringing in his people, trying to get his program set, trying to get his goals and his everything he's going to do. But it's all about the bottom line. How much money can I earn for the company? How much profit can I bring in? What can I do to turn this thing around? And he gets 2 years. If he doesn't do it within 2 years, typically they get rid of him, they bring the next guy in. If he does it within 2 years, then typically what he does is what I call executive chess. He uses that and leverages that to go to the next job that's a little higher and a little more responsibility, and he plays the executive chess game there. So it's all about transaction. What can I do transactional to make money so that either I don't get fired or I can move on to a larger experience? So I can go in as a real estate guy and say, I can put more people in less square footage. I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. And really what he's looking for is he's got that group of people. We've got to turn this thing around. I'm one piece of the puzzle, but really he's looking out for himself, and all he wants to do is move to the next level, move to the next best thing for him, the next shiny object. When I sat in my ophthalmologist chair 10, 12, 15 years ago, and he said, what do you do for a living? And I said, well, I own a small independent brokerage firm, and we help people accomplish their dreams. And he said, well, my lease is coming up. We should talk. And I said, okay. So we got together, we talked, and we sort of hit it off. We liked each other. Okay. And he could see that I really wanted to help him. And I said this is what I'll do for you. I will give you all the options because it doesn't make any difference to me whether you lease, whether you stay here, whether you move and lease, or whether you buy something, or whether we build you something. Whatever works best for you is what I'm interested in. So I would show him all the options. If we stayed here and renewed your lease, here's what it would look like. If we moved you, here's what it would look like. If you added more space, here's what it would look like. If we purchased something out here, based on what's available and here are the comps, this is what it would look like. If we build you something, here's what it would look like. And so we lay all the options out there. He picks the option, he chooses. And I'll tell you, you'll find that doctors, after they've leased 5 or 8 years or so, they really have this burning desire. They prefer to own versus lease. Then you have this other group that's coming out of school. They can't afford to buy right now because they've got loans and they've got all this other stuff going on, and they need to lease until they can get to that position.
Mm,
So you try to put it all together to where this guy wants to own, and we need to backfill the tenants for him, and we
mm,
put the whole thing together and give him all the options. By doing all that, you build relationships. And if
mm,
you do it well and they like what you do, they will recommend. You'll get calls that'll say, "Hey, I heard, I know what you did for this doctor. Can we talk about, what you might do?" Or he may give me two or three different doctors' names, and I'll say, "We just did an outstanding deal here for this one, and he wanted me to get in touch with you to find out, share with you what we did for him to see if something like that might work for you."
yeah,
And there's no pressure. It's like, if it does, fine. If it doesn't, okay. But by the time you get in there, you lay it all out. Who doesn't want to look at all their options?
sure. No, for sure.
And I'm not shoving something down their throat, you see, because I don't really care. If you lease, I'm fine with it. If you purchase, I'm fine with it. If we build it, I'm fine with it.
Mhm.
It doesn't make any difference to me. I don't have the dog in the fight that says, "I've got to show you something." I'm handling some buildings right now that I'm selling for clients. And we'll have people that'll come in, and a lot of times I'll say to them, "This building's not going to work for you. You need to find something else, but this one won't work for you." Or we might be looking at doing a sale leaseback. And then as we move through the transaction, I'll go to the owner and say, "You know what? I don't think we want to do this deal because I don't think you want to become a tenant for this owner.
Mm,
So I'm looking out for you." And I've had them come back to me and say, "It's amazing because you're really doing something that you think is in my best interest, and you got a commission involved here, but you're actually, saying, I don't think this deal's good for you." People love that,
sure.
you
Oh,
know.
for sure.
And you know what? I get a good night's sleep.
Oh, for sure. I think I don't know. I don't know a lot of investors that would have an issue with that, but I know a lot of investors who would have, in retrospect, would have liked to have someone that said those words. You know what? I don't think this is a good deal for you.
Yeah, yeah, because you gotta face them later, and you built a relationship along the way. And how do you go see that guy at church, and face him every Sunday, and say, and he says, "Man, I am so unhappy. I wish I hadn't done that deal. Why did you let me do that? I don't want that. I don't want to hear that."
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and so, I mean, I'll say, "Hey, when it's the right deal, God will bring it. We'll know, and when it's right, we'll know it's right."
Mm. Let me ask you this, and that's it's a great word. It's a great word. Um, Sometimes the deals don't work. In fact, you were just talking about you,
Oh yeah,
and sometimes deals fail, right? And then we got to learn from them, learn from the mistakes. What's the biggest mistake you've made in your career that's allowed that at the end it was a huge mistake, but it propelled you forward the most?
I would say in my case, I believe it was thinking that I could do it all on my own and not realizing the importance of a mentor.
Mm,
You cannot, you cannot ever underestimate the importance of a mentor.
mm,
When I decided to do this medical deal, I mean, I had two choices. Wow. I mean, this is going to be a nice deal. I can go out there and do it all on my own, and I can get all the commission. Or wait a minute, I met this guy in a real estate meeting not long ago. He specializes in medical for 20 years, and he's got a good reputation. He's done a great job. Let me call him. And I called him and said, "Hey, I got this thing working. Looks good. Would you like to work it with me and co-broker the deal?" And he said, "I'd love to." We co-brokered that. We ended up co-broking three or four more. For 2 years, he became my mentor. And I learned so fast how to deal with doctors, how to deal with financing, how to deal with architects, how to deal with uh, general contractors, all the things that you've got to know that
Hmm.
I could have gone out and done it, tried it on my own, but that's not the mentality that I've got. My mentality is an abundance mentality. There's enough in here for all of us. I don't have to make it all. It's enough for all of us. Well, as a result of handling it that way, I ended up doing about $10 million worth of business in first 2.5 years and ended up banking about $440,000. Whereas if I'd gone out there and tried to do it all on my own, I may have just gone bust because you get to a certain point and it's more than I can handle. I
Yeah.
wish I'd have done it the other way. So I think in my estimation, get a mentor. Get a mentor.
Mm.
They're worth their weight in gold.
Love it. So true. So true. I appreciate you sharing that. Makes all the difference. Makes all the
Makes
difference.
all the difference in the world.
Let me ask you one more thing. Looking ahead, you've been doing this a long time. Clearly, you're still having fun doing it. Loving what you're doing, which is awesome. That burning desires you talked about.
Mhm.
What's a legacy you hope to leave after all the success you've had, both in real estate and maybe even in a broader community sense?
Well, I tell you, I this is one of them. I came from a divorced family. My mother and father divorced when I was 2 years old. And I grew up with a mother, grandfather, and grandmother. Okay, I told you up through 8 years old,
Hmm.
we had it all made. And then all of a sudden, it was over and I had to watch them go out there and work hard and struggle to do what they did. So basically, repeat the question again. I'm trying to get the question back in my mind again.
Oh, just, what's the legacy you're hoping to leave after
Oh,
all?
okay. Yeah. Here's the legacy. One of the legacies. Okay. When I wrote this book, it brought back all the memories as I went through my life and my story in here. And I thought about, how having to do it all on my own and having to try to figure everything out. And so I have this goal that within the next 5 years, I want to be able to set up a foundation that produces or provides mentors for divorced children that need a mentor in their life. And it would be so valuable to help them get off to the right start or move them in the right direction or help them uh, lay a foundation that I wish that I had when I was 8, that I missed between 8 and 18.
Mm,
That I think is important. It's
mm,
one of the things.
mm, mm. It's where it starts, right? When we're young.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, that's why I went multifamily. My friend kept saying, "Oh man, just come on, invest with me and do single family." No, you're in it for the money, and I'm
yeah,
not in it for the money. I live that. I know what it feels like. I want I want somebody to come in and get a completely new paint job, new flooring, new kitchen, uh, new amenities outside, uh, to be able to enjoy living there instead of just living there because they can't afford anywhere else.
Mm, mm.
It's just, it's got to mean something.
I'm so glad that you just said that. I'm just so glad that you said that. It has to mean something.
Yes,
Otherwise,
yes.
why are we bothering? Mm.
Otherwise, let's go chase more shiny objects.
I'm going to use that for the title. It has to mean something. There it is. That's the title of the show. I love it.
There you go. There
I
you
mean,
go.
but that's as real as it is right there. I'm so glad you said that. Awesome.
Yeah. If it does mean something, you get a good night's sleep.
And you get a good night. That's right. And if it doesn't mean anything, you don't get it. And I could not agree with you more. I love it. I love that. Well, well, Bob, this has just been very delightful. It's gone a little bit different than I thought it would, but just it's been a great conversation, and I really appreciated what you shared because these are thoughts that go through a lot of entrepreneurs' minds, not just in real estate, but in other businesses as well, is because it's unique to being a human and you
Yes.
and just the reality of humanity when it mixes with business, regardless of what the vehicle is. So I want to thank you again for being on. And to our listeners, check out Bob's book. We'll have a link to it below. He's written another book about commercial real estate. We'll put a link to that. And if you want to connect with him, if you want a mentor, maybe reach out to him. We'll have the links on how to do so below. So, Bob, I want to thank you again for coming on and sharing those insights and just those reminders of what's really most important. Can you leave us with a final word?
Well, one final word I have for you is if you wouldn't mind, I would love if you would text me your phone number
Okay.
because I got your phone number somehow or another mixed up with a new website that I'm doing for the book. And I'm doing it with GoDaddy, and somehow or another your name got mixed in. And when I tried to get in touch with you, it would have your name, but I would end up going to Google. And it was like, oh my God, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this podcast? I'm not sure. I know we've agreed, but I'm not sure whether I'm connecting with him because I'm sending messages and I'm not getting anything back. And I'm saying, and I went on the web internet to look, and I saw a lot of here are the shows, and I was like, give me a phone number, give me something I can connect with you. So I want to make
I'll
sure.
get you that. No problem.
Yes. So I wanted to make sure because I'm like, I got to be here today in case, we actually are doing it. And so
Absolutely.
I'm glad I was. Uh,
Absolutely.
but in leaving what would I leave people with? I would leave people with trust your instincts, um, find your passion, find your niche within your passion. And as it says on my book here, choose your passion, select your niche, find your mentor, be a champion.
Mm. Love it. Can all be a champion. I love it. Love it.
That's what I would say. It's right on the bottom of the book.
It's a great place to start. Love it. Well, Bob, thank you again for coming on today. It's just been very delightful. Looking forward to sharing this with our audience and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Sounds good. And I look forward to getting that number so we can communicate and talk more.
We'll take care of it. All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Frank.